Evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? Lawrence Fox has shared an update related to his house getting ransacked by 6 coppers, which I didn't really cover too much at the time, so I thought I'd cover it today. It's an interesting story because it's a very obvious case of state overreach, whereby a bloke complained a little bit about a mayor, and then the Stasi turned up round his house, smashed his shitter in with a hammer, pinched all of his devices for a few months. Well, more than a few months. It's an interesting story. I'm going to walk through exactly what they did to him, explain to you what's happened now, and he's finally been vindicated for stuff that he really should have never been prosecuted for in the first place. That will become blatantly, painfully obvious. And then, I'll do some summing up, which will obviously culminate in me mocking ruthlessly the poison dwarf, the dusky tyrant, stomping on the throats of innocent people in the capital for daring to point out that, forcing working class men to sell the vans or walk everywhere in a country responsible for about 1% of the entire world's emissions is not at all about protecting the climate and entirely about robbing you blind, asserting state control over individual people, and most importantly, giving the power-mad little midget a lob on every time he wakes up and has a whiff of his gluten-free soy milk cornflakes. So let's get into it. Okay, to sort of start at the beginning, for those of you that missed it, in October 2023, we awoke to see Lawrence Fox complaining about his house being full of rozzers, and you can see the video here.
No. Look how many coppers there are in my house. Look at them, coming to steal everything, take everything out of my house. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the country that we live in.
Yeah, 6 bobbies, rifling through all his stuff, wiping the fat, sweaty heads on his pillowcases. You know how it goes. From the story at the time, the BBC reported Lawrence Fox was arrested on suspicion of conspiring to commit criminal damage to ULEZ cameras. A daily charge applies for driving an ultra-low emission zone, commonly referred to as ULEZ, if the vehicle does not meet emission standards. Fox posted a video on social media as police searched his London home and said, "Look how many coppers there are in my house. That's the country we live in." Later, Fox had been released from custody and he wanted his family and friends to know he was safe and well. The expansion of ULEZ has been a point of contention among politicians and the public. The Met is running an ongoing operation against damage to ULEZ cameras, as between 1st of April and 30th of September, there were 795 crimes recorded relating to the cameras. And then the rest of it is a hit piece slagging him off and calling him a misogynist, which has nothing to do with ULEZ cameras. If it isn't obvious, that right there is statist, Gestapo, fascist bullshit of the highest order. I made this point a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about them trying to drum up support for arresting someone for saying he was glad that a politician got hurt. As far as I'm aware, that's a crass thing to do, but it's not against the law. We don't have state-mandated politeness, not quite yet. The commies are trying to do it, but we don't quite have it yet. You don't have to tell me I have to be nice all the time. When someone like, Gordon Brown, the cycloptic, craggy-faced squatter that was in Downing Street despite the fact he never got won an election, when he curls his toes up, I reserve the right to not just laugh wholeheartedly, but to strip naked, lube myself up and fling myself around the living room for an hour in an orgy of singing whilst fapping furiously. You can't tell me I'm not allowed to hate people. You can call everything a hate crime and you can say silence is violence, whatever that means. But you cannot legislate for the human spirit. You can't tell me what I'm allowed to like or dislike. And Lawrence Fox getting arrested for that is preposterous, because at no point did he say, "I'm off out to chop a load of cameras down. It's a great idea." He just said it's good, and he's allowed to think it's good. I think it's good, and I'm not getting arrested because I live in a free country outside of the talons of the little grasping poison dwarf that runs London. It is full-blown fascist shite, And everybody knows it. To have a man's house ransacked, you're not looking for drugs. Why do you need 6 people to ransack his house? 6 coppers. All the knife crime that goes on. I've seen videos of people having machete fights in the middle of London and they're not surrounded by coppers. You can't find a copper when you need one in London. But they had time to spend 6 blokes around his house to pull his stuff to bits. On the face of it, it's completely preposterous. And you know it and I know it. So we don't need to talk about it anymore, do we? It's just Gestapo bullshit. Right? He's entitled to his opinion. When Nigel Farage gets a modicum of power and says we should put some cameras up to monitor illegal immigrants at the border, Owen Jones wouldn't get his house ransacked by 6 coppers, would he? If he said, oh, we should get rid of all those cameras. You know it's true. So it's all nonsense. And if you've got a hole in your arse, you know that to be the case. On to today's post by Mr. Fox. Following 6 coppers bursting into my house earlier this year to arrest me for saying how pleased I was that the ULEZ scam was meeting such robust resistance, this morning the Met Police were ordered by a magistrate to hand back all my devices, including my kids' iPads, which they took out of pure malice, obviously. Obviously, he put all of his stuff up on the public square anyway. Why did they need to take the kids' iPads? Anyway, the police investigation is concluded. Perhaps now the 6 officers sent round my house can be put back to investigating London's knife crime epidemic or burgeoning anti-Semitism instead of harassing those who criticise Sadiq Khan. No, they won't do that because Sadiq Khan is, like all tyrants, power mad and he doesn't care about optics or the law. My bail conditions have also been lifted, so I'm free now to say what I said before, that ULEZ is about power and money and nothing else, least of all the climate. It's entirely unnecessary to the point where Mayor of London suppressed his own report saying that the benefits of his climate scam would be negligible to the effect of pointlessness. It's not about the climate, it's about control. It's the primary infrastructure for all sorts of things that ideologues like the midget dictator would like to impose upon us. I can finally say the word Blade Runners again, another free speech restriction to put on him just because they like to do that out of spite as well, to prove that they can do it. And then a pithy comment about cameras getting pulled down continuously and F you, Mr. Mayor. Brilliant. And there's Lilani as well, just to prove the meme that the right-wing girls are all attractive and comely and the left-wing girls are all purple-haired Hoover beasts with a gash like a gutted fireplace. So there we go, a win for Lawrence, although at the same time today, Joey Barton got slammed. At the end of the day, if you take anything to court in the UK now, you're taking a huge chance regardless, because our courts are partisan, our civil servants are partisan, our judges are partisan, the juries are partisan. We're basically living in a banana republic, and the law is now an ass. It's been proved dozens of times in the last few years. I don't need to talk any more about it. But I am glad that on this one rare occasion, finally got a result for Lawrence Fox. He should have never had to go through any of it. Jeremy Vine's a good example, really, isn't he? Because he can call you whatever he wants. He can constantly insult you and call you as many names as he likes. But if you call him a name back, you get arrested and prosecuted for hate speech. It's ludicrous, and they do it because they can. As I've told you many times, you've got to be clever about it. I am. You don't mock people about anything you can be arrested for, basically. When Ash Sarkar takes great pleasure in racially abusing people like me, if you reply in kind, you get arrested and she won't. So you've got to be clever, and you've got to point out that she's got a moustache, a boss eye, and is clearly a result of 8 generations of cousin bumming. So you pick on things like that. You've got to be clever about it. Lawrence is a bit cringe. He's not too clever about it, and he constantly puts his foot in his mouth, but his heart is in the right place. So I'm glad he got a result in the end. But that's it. That's it for the day. Let me know what you think. I hope you followed the story. It's about time the poor bastard got a win, so I'm glad about that. But remember, watch what you're saying on social media. You have to be clever, and I am talking to you, normal people. There's more than 10,000 arrests for tweets and Facebook posts in the United Kingdom as we speak. So be careful, be clever. I've got thousands of hours of content out there. I've never been nicked for anything. You can take the piss out of these people as long as you're smart about it and you don't mention any of these protected characteristics, because the tyrants are desperate to trip you up and lock you in a cell. So don't do it. Be clever, keep a sense of humour, and be safe in the knowledge that we will win eventually, because right is on our side. All right, thanks for tuning in. See you all very soon. Toodle pip. Cheers.